Hey guys, I'm Cody,
And I'm Courtney,
and together we are
the Adventures of Coco.
Yeah. So this video is going to be the first video in a series about foster care. We recently decided, well, not recently, within the last few years of our adventure through starting foster care, how we started the whole process, why we started it, and then further videos are going to get into the classes, an overview of the classes, what they did with the interviews for us, and like how we got from just regular old deciding, okay, yeah, we want to do foster care, and to the point we are at right now, and then in the future with placements or adventures in foster care placements. So,
Yeah.
so the first video is going to be why we even started foster care classes.
I think I kind of influenced Cody to make his decision. But for me, foster care was always in my family, so I have a really blended upbringing, and a lot of my cousins are adopted through the foster care system. My grandmother was a foster mom pretty much her, whole adult life. So it influenced me a lot, and I realized the need for it really early on in life. And obviously, with dating Cody, we've been together for 4 years, and this is just kind of the point that we're at to kind of start.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reason?
You influenced me.
Okay.
I realistically had not really thought about it. I mean, I think foster care is great. Growing up, I had a few friends that, were foster kids, or I at least knew foster kids, in the county that I grew up in. And I think it's, a great thing. I mean, in and of itself, a child being placed in foster care is not a great thing, but great foster parents who are willing to help out these children who maybe are in a bad situation. They're coming out of a bad situation. They're in a stressful situation, such as foster care. I do think it is great to have people who are willing to go out of their way and really want to make a difference, like what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to help kids who are in that situation. It's not ideal. It's stressful. It's scary, and we just want to offer a better place for them to be at.
Yeah.
At least even if it's a short time or however long we do have them. We just want to do that. But yeah, Courtney definitely influenced me. It was her idea was one of the first things we talked about when we got together. At least she
Yeah.
mentioned that she wanted to do foster care, and I mean, like I said, I personally never really considered it, but I wasn't against it. So I mean, I was really neither here nor there about it. But when she said she wanted to do it, I was like, okay, yeah, sounds great.
So did you know like what foster care was, or did you just know that like it was a thing? But did you actually realize like what foster care entailed?
I knew it was. I knew what it was, like the basics of it. Like a child got removed from a home that they were in, and then
Yeah.
placed in a different home for whatever reason. After taking the classes now, I understand better some of the reasons for a child being removed.
Yeah.
And I cleared up some misconceptions maybe that I had about it. But I knew what it was. In essence, what it was. It was a child being removed and placed in a different home.
Yeah.
And obviously there were approved foster parents that they didn't just ship them out to any random home.
Yeah.
And it's not like they just pick somebody at random and be like, here's an extra kid.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is important to understand that you hear like really bad things about foster parents, and you don't hear about all the good things, and all of the requirements and training and classes that you have to do in order just to become an approved foster parent. But then it doesn't stop there. Like, you have to do continual training each year just to stay as an approved home. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there's improvements that the system can do, but it wasn't easy being approved as a foster home, and it took a long time. So I feel like to get through the process, it's going to weed out anybody who's interested in it for the wrong reasons, because it truly does take a lot of time and effort out of you just to get the paperwork even done, let alone the classes and the time that you have to dedicate to getting through that, the home studies, the interviews. Like, there's so much to it.
There really is. It is a very big. It's a big personal investment.
Yeah.
It's not just something that you take on lightly. I mean, you may just decide to do it and be like, okay, yeah. And once you get into it, you realize, exactly how much that it entails. Not that it is necessarily hard stuff, but maybe once someone gets into it, they may realize like, hey, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe it is for me.
Yeah, it's time consuming.
It is very time consuming. Like I said, it's not hard stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
there's interviews, there's paperwork, there's homework, there's classes, but
Mhm.
if you're really dedicated to doing it and really want to do it, then it's not hard at all to get through. It's just
Right.
simply hoops to jump through.
Yeah. So basically, we wanted to kind of talk to you guys about the first steps that we took, even just to get enrolled in the classes. I know that it's going to be different depending on where you live, but generally, I think the first step would always be to contact your social services department. Um, I mean, I know they call it, like DSS or CPS. It doesn't matter. Anybody in the social services department, to kind of figure out when the next classes are. Right now, we're in the middle of COVID, so our classes were held online just through like Zoom meetings. Traditionally, they're not done that way. Traditionally, you do have to go to like either our social services building, or like they'll do like local libraries, and you have to be in person in seat for these classes in order to get credit. So just kind of know that going forward, if that's going to conflict with your work schedule, you may have to do some different things to make time for the meetings because they are mandatory. So calling, CPS and finding out when the next classes are. They're normally held, I think, like twice a year.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Twice a
Yeah.
year.
So I'm not saying extra classes wouldn't be held if the need is there, but normally they're held twice a year. So don't be surprised if you call and one's not being held until the next summer or the next season. That's pretty general. But in the meantime, you can be doing things like preparing your home, having conversations with your significant other on what you guys can do to kind of prepare your relationship, your family, telling your kids, preparing a bedroom. Getting supplies ready, like for your specific age range or sex that you'll be taking on, such as like clothes or personal hygiene items. There's a lot to prepare for. So just because the classes haven't started, doesn't mean that you have to just do nothing.
This is true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, our fears.
Getting into it. So both of us, maybe more so than Courtney. Courtney knew far more about the foster care system than I did getting into it. So some of at least my initial fears were just the placements of foster kids in general. And not to like speak badly of foster kids. Foster kids are not bad kids. So one of the things, I'll preface this by saying, going through the Pride classes, one of the big things that stuck with me from the classes was the social worker who taught us came right out and said, like, the kids are not removed from their home because they're being bad kids. They're being removed for maybe a bad situation, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So and maybe that is just a misconception that I had, not even that I had purposely come to that. Or maybe I was just influenced by, life in general, or maybe just other people's opinions of foster care. Like, they're just bad kids, but they're not. They're children that have been removed from a bad situation. And, if you're faced with, a bad situation, like if you're a child and you've been removed from your home, you may develop you're upset. And maybe that's what's causing you to act out, and maybe that's why people assume like, oh, foster kid, you're a bad kid. But that's not true at all. So one of the fears was just, and I think maybe it's not a fear now, it's just a concern, is taking on a placement that, they've come from a very bad situation. They're going to need certain things. They're not just, I'm sure we'll get a placement where it's, they're just kind of a laid back, regular, like maybe they have a better understanding of, I was removed from a bad situation and this is just the situation I'm in now, versus, maybe we'll also get a placement that
Acts out.
Yeah, acts out. They have an attitude. They view us as like, maybe not that we are the ones that took them from the home, but
Right.
We are part of the machine that they are now stuck in. They're part of what took them from their home. That is, and again, it's not a reason that I would never choose that as a reason like, oh, I don't want to do foster care, because I might have like a child, a placement, a teen that would act out. Like and that is something that I understood going into it, and it does not bother me or scare me to do that. It's just a reality of the situation. You may get that, but a fear overall of mine going into it was just that we would get a placement we like just couldn't help. Like they either didn't want the help, they didn't want anything to do with us, they didn't care, and then going through the classes, it was told to us like you'll have some placements you'll get that they just need time to come out of their shell, and then
Yeah.
then they really turn things around. You need to just give them time to trust you, and then you know then it was also told to us like you may have placements where just no matter what you do, y'all just never really sync up, and they just end up just being somebody who lives in their house or
Yeah.
lives in your house. So, but yeah, that was mine. That was something I did not know or really consider or put much thought into before getting into it.
Mhm.
So
I think a fear of mine is mainly just getting the first placement, like the figuring out stuff. I think that it's the lack of knowledge that makes me afraid, not because I don't think we can't handle it, but just we don't have anything to compare this off of. We don't have our own children, and specifically the age range that Cody and I are doing are going to be teens. I think it was like from age 11 to 18 is the window that we are open for. Not because we don't want to accept all age ranges, but we both, work full-time jobs, so we wanted to make sure that we were available for a child. And obviously, anything too small of a child is really not going to be safe for us to take on because they're going to be in daycare all day, and that's not fair, in our opinion. Obviously, daycare is really great for other people, but I just feel like in order to do foster care, you have to spend extra time with the child to make them feel secure and build them back up. I don't think it is the best interest of the child to just have them, shipped from their home to our home and then daycare and then back to our house and then back to daycare and then to visits with their family and court dates. And it's so much moving for a kid that I think the most stability we can give them, the better. So that age range just works perfectly for us. But that being said, teens are also the most feared age group to take on. And we don't have any of our own children, so we're kind of starting backwards in a way. So I think we're both really young. I think we will connect well with the teen age group. I just hope that we are respected versus looked at as a friend who maybe they can easily try to manipulate or get away with things. So I hope that we can find a good balance between, the respect lines and also understanding that, we are young, but, we're still your parental figure right now while you're in our home. So yeah, I think just initially figuring things out, the how-tos, and also respect is going to be huge.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing is things that we didn't know and that we learned. Is there anything specifically that you can think of that you didn't know that you learned going into, I guess, just specifically the Pride classes?
Maybe not so much the pride classes. Well, it's something that I learned is exactly how many resources that are available to you as a foster parent. Not only the yearly training, the required training that you have to go to even stay a foster parent. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
It's not just like a one and done deal. At least in our area for our system, I can't speak on
Right.
if you live in a different state. We're in Virginia, and specifically the county that we live in, that's there. You will go through yearly training to remain a foster parent with us. Your system, wherever you are, may be completely different. That's just how it is for us. I thought that was good. And I also did not realize how many, again, like I said, resources were available for foster parents. I mean, there's, if we're having trouble with a placement, or we're having just trouble dealing with them, or maybe the birth family, the birth parents of the child, we actually have, as foster parents, we have a social worker that works for us.
Mm-hmm.
So the social worker who taught our classes
Is our social worker.
is our social worker. We're not totally alone in this.
Yeah.
She is always going to be there for us. She helps us. She gets us resources we need. And then the placement has their social worker, which I did not know.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, until we got into it, which I think is awesome. I think that's just a great, support system
Yeah.
that our county is offering us. So I did not know that. And then just also some of the other stuff, like I said, that I learned in the prior classes about just the situations that the children are maybe coming from.
Yeah.
That's
I think,
what I learned.
yeah, and I think something that I kind of took away from it was how fast you have to kind of get things done as soon as a placement comes into your home. It seems like you have to make a doctor's appointment very quickly. I want to say like within 24 to 48 hours of them being in your care, you have to get them checked up. And then a visit is to follow very shortly after. But you also never know the type of condition that a child is going to come into your home with. So I think that's something that really was eye-opening to me was, these children are going to be coming from so many different scenarios, and you have to be super adaptable to how you're going to handle it. Like, maybe they'll come with lice or some sort of skin condition, or maybe they'll just be, plain sick with a virus and then get your house sick, or, just dirty or clothes that don't fit, or maybe they'll cuss, or, just there's so many different things that can happen with just one child coming into your home, and you have to immediately adapt. I mean, once they're in your home, that's it. This is not a, oh, you're going to be gone in a couple hours. We're not babysitting. Like, that is your new permanent home. Obviously, you're going to be working a case plan, and they will eventually go home. Hopefully that will happen. But for the meantime, we're not just doing short-term placements. We're gonna be dealing with long-term placements, so it's gonna be hard to adapt almost immediately. So hopefully we can do okay with that. But there's gonna be more videos to come. We're gonna kind of break down each class for you guys. I know when we went through it, we were super nervous. We didn't know what to expect. We were hoping we were prepared, but hopefully we'll help you answer some questions and maybe calm some fears that you guys have, because the need is obviously out there for good foster parents. So we hope we can help you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching the video. Hit like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notifications for all our new videos.